Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be taking a look at role-player adventures designed by Keith Matejka and James Ryan and published by Thunderworks Games. Now this is going to include the expansion, Nefras Judgement, as well as a fully sleeved copy of the game. This also has no lid lift, so as you're going to see, everything fits nice and snugly into this box, including all of the expansion content. Now that being said, let's go ahead and jump inside. So first off, we go ahead and lift the lid off of this gigantic box, and you'll see that we have some binder pages draped on the top here. These are going to contain all of your modifier cards for the game. When you're fighting specific fights or challenges, these are going to change some of the effects. So having them in alphabetical order here and just splayed out makes them a lot easier to find, and when you're finished, easy to put away. So I really like these binder pages. They're really helpful. So that's the first thing. Any links to any of the items you see here that are additional will be in the description below, including the card sleeves that you'll find for these modifier cards. Underneath that, we'll start with some of the books. First off, our rulebook, our encounter book, and then you'll have all of the different boards for the players. Now, based on the player count that you're playing, you'll have them in the separate boards here. You also can take out the pieces of paper for any of the active characters you're using. On the back here, there's a little slip, so you can actually pull out the sheets if you'd like. So that's all of the boards here. You'll have 4 of them for the different characters you're using. On the left here, you're going to have a pencil, mechanical pencil, for marking all sorts of things, your character sheet, the party sheet, and then the backstory codex for Nefras Judgement here. Underneath that, you're going to have your party sheet. This is going to contain all your information, as well as all of your storybooks. So whatever your current active storybook is, you'll leave that on top, and then everything else you'll kind of just leave underneath. Now that being said, underneath that first storybook, you're also going to have all of your maps. So this is basically just a big stack of your scenario-specific stuff. So you fold out the map you're using, and then have the accompanying storybook to go with it. So that's everything in that large stack of books there. On the right side here, you're going to have your insert that comes with. That's going to store all of your components, mainly your gameplay stuff, so any gold you'll be gaining, your markers for your different enemies for the round tracks, your XP, all of your stamina tokens, your rest tokens, your extra play tokens. This is going to fit nicely in there. All of your quest markers for your personal quest if you're playing with the Nefras Judgement expansion, as well as your different encounters. And lastly, you have these exclamation point tokens and then other special tokens that might be here. Like you have this cute little person token. So all of these will fit snugly into there. And then on this right side, you'll have all of your familiar cards. So these are specific cards that are tied to specific dice. So you have these split dice as well as the familiars they're tied to that are going to fit in here. And like I said before, all of your sleeves are going to be in the description below. And they do fit sleeved cards very nicely, which is super nice for this organizer here. And that's everything in this small organizer. Underneath that, you have your character sheets, as well as your trait book. That's going to have all your different skill checks in it. In this right section here, you're going to have your dice bag. It's going to have all of your different dice randomized, and during the game, you're going to be pulling them out randomly sometimes or selecting them, so definitely just leave them all in the bag here. On the right side of all of these card trays, you're going to have your Nefras Judgement content. So these include your alignment markers, and very similar to the character boards, you can leave the pieces of paper in here, or you can slide them out. So you have some choices on if you just want to leave them, or based on the player count, as well as the backstory additional pads if you're playing with more. And then this does come in the base game. It is a secret envelope. Just ignore it for right now, and you'll keep it on that right side, nice and tucked away. Up next, that you'll notice that we've replaced one of the organizers in the game with a new one. So this is actually a box from one of the expansions to Dinosaur World. It's just essentially a long box that's going to keep things nice and flat, as well as provide some support on the top. These are going to hold your, as you can see, your rare, title, and discovery cards. These are kind of like the file systems, as you'll see in something like 7th Continent. It'll say, hey, grab discovery card 1, you simply grab it. Or you'll get whatever discovery card you need, or title card. They're all in here filed away in their correct numerical order. Now, the reason that these are not in the original core box is that original core box is actually very damaging to the cards, especially if they're sleeved. It has these little divots in it, so if you leave them in there, it's going to ruin the cards that you put in there because it's going to bend the tips and kind of push them into awkward ways. So it was not working well. We tried cutting it down and slimming it. Did not work, so this has been an extremely good way to do this, and I would recommend this. That way you just don't have an issue, especially if you want to be sleeving your cards. And really, it does the same thing. It's also one less step. You don't have a lid you got to take off, and it still provides that same support here with the cardboard there. So that's why we're using this container. You can use any long box here, or if you have another alternative, that's fantastic too. But that's what we're using here, is just any cardboard substitute to hold these cards horizontally. These other two card holders we actually kept from the base game. They're really nice because they go ahead and group the cards inside the organizer by section and not on the top here. So you just simply pop off the lid here, and this one's going to contain all of your trait abilities based on the character that you start with, as well as your different markers here for your alignment, and that's if you're playing with that Nefras Judgement expansion, and then the ability symbols here for your faction alliances. You'll also have your party marker in here with the nice miniature here that's going to represent your party, as well as all the different market rows. So first off, you'll have your character portraits if you're deciding to play with one of those pre-constructed characters, and then you have all of the different sections from the market. These are going to include things like your weapon cards, and as you'll notice, they are all represented from the cards in the original role player. Very cool that they all have their counterparts in here. You've got your trades, your weapons, your armor, anything that is in that base game is represented here. And that insert just fits really nicely over it to keep everything nice and snug without damaging any of our cards here. Super, super nice. Love the way that this one works. And lastly, this last card holder is going to have your current party equipment. So these are going to be the hands of all your players, as well as all the title cards that you received. So I'm not going to show you any of this, but this is basically, I'm currently using this. It'll just go on this left side here. In addition, you'll have all of the monsters. Once again, I'm not going to be showing you these, but they do fit snugly here. You'll sort them by number, and then on the back here, after you take them all out, you're going to have a spot for all of the different player aids that you're going to be using. So once again, links in the description for sleeves for these cards. It does fit sleeved cards, and it does fit it well here. So very, very nice. Love the way that works. And lastly, as you can see here, we got a silica gel packet in there for freshness, as well as one tucked in the corner back there. So that is everything in Role Player Adventures. Let's go ahead and pack it up. So first off, we're going to go ahead and start with that monster, as well as your current party container. That's going to go on this left side. And then we'll go ahead and assign our market cards, as well as our party miniature and alignment tokens. That's all going to go in that center organizer. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and put in the discovery, title, and rare cards organizer to the right here. Furthermore, on that right side, we're going to put that secret envelope, as well as all the Nefras Judgement alignment markers and sheets tucked in on that right side there. In the upper right corner, we're going to put that Role Player Adventures dice bag. We're going to take the trait tests and put them snugly here, as well as the character sheets. We'll put the tray that contains all the player resources on top of that section. And then we'll take all of the storybooks, as well as the different maps, and place them on that left side here. You'll put your current storybook on top of that, as well as your backstory codex for the Nefras Judgement expansion. You'll then put your campaign sheet to the left, and then you'll place your character boards. You're going to want to put two like so. They kind of slant over on this side, and then two like this. And that way you have room to put that adventure book with the binding over on this right side to close up that empty space. You'll then place the rulebook on top of that, the pencil to the left here, and lastly, your binder pages with all of the modifier cards for your different skill challenges. And that is organizing Role Player Adventures. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. How do you organize your copy of Role Player Adventures? Is this one that you're excited to get to the table? I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think about this game. If you found this helpful, please let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching. SideGame Strong,